Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Torey and today I wanted to do some reading journal updates with you. So this one's going to be a little bit different than the normal reading journal videos that I post. I had quite a few spreads in here that I had not yet finished and some things that I just needed to fill in. So I'm just going to do a little bit of everything. I decided to just sit down at my desk, start getting things done that I've been wanting to get done for a while here. So the first thing I did was just color in a couple of books that I have finished. I normally write the name of the book when I start it in my bookshelf and then color it in once I'm finished. And then I'm going through and coloring in my days read and the number of books that I've finished so far. I'm up to 29 books so far this year, which is just wild to me because I feel like I'm actually going to surpass my goal before the end of the year. So I also had several beginning pages kind of set up, but not really because I lost this alpha for a good minute. I put it someplace that I didn't actually normally keep stamps. So I misplaced it. And I've recently found it. So I'm going to go ahead and get these pages finished being set up as well. So this first one here is going to be a romance trope bingo. So I just looked up a bunch of different romance tropes and just placed them all in this kind of bingo grid. And I am filling it in and writing the title of the book underneath each trope once I've read one of that trope. And since romance is my most read genre, I figured if I was going to be doing bingo again this year, I might as well do it on something that that would be attainable for myself. I'm also sort of setting up this page here for the diverse baseline challenge. I am doing that this year as well, but I have not yet decided how I'm going to actually lay that spread out because I do have some things that I need to fill in on it. I just haven't figured out the best way to lay that spread out yet. Flipping right over, I needed to also add a title to my 5-star reads page. I am hoping that I didn't leave myself too much space on this one. I don't rate books 5 stars very often. So I don't know. Hopefully this is a better year for me. Last year, I think I ended the year with 5 books that I rated 5 stars over the whole year. So far this year, though, I think I've rated 2 books. Yeah, so I'm cutting out some of these book covers here. I've printed them all out on standard white matte sticker paper from Online Labels, and I always have that linked in the description box if you're interested in checking that out. I love this sticker paper, especially for using it to make book covers because it's pretty thin and it prints very well in my opinion. So I really like to use this one specifically to print out my book covers on because it doesn't add a ridiculous amount of bulk to my pages. So I am going to be placing 2 book covers on my 5-star reads, and it's basically both of the Heartstopper volumes that I've read so far, volume 1 and volume 2. That's where I'm currently at with that, and I gave them both 5 stars because I'm obsessed with it. I also watched the whole Netflix show that's available as of right now. I started watching that before I started reading the books, so love it all. So I gave those 5 stars, and I'm just going to go ahead and place those covers down on this page. And then we are going to move on to my rating system and 4 doors to reading is what I'm setting up now. Neither of these are things that I've included in previous reading journals, but I was thinking recently that everybody's taste changes, especially when it comes to what you're interested in, books you're liking, genres you're liking. I tend to switch back and forth between romance and fantasy generally, just depending on my mood. So I thought it would be super interesting and helpful to have a rating system, quote unquote, in my reading journal. And then my 4 doors to reading preferences as well. So for my rating system, I am going to draw out, or I'm going to stamp out using this LE Studio travel tabs stamp. There's a 5-star stamp in there and I love it. It's like the perfect size. And I'm going to color each of those in 1 through 5 stars. And then I will move on to stamping the 4 doors to reading before I actually fill in what each rating means to me. And then for my 4 doors to reading, I thought it would be super interesting to have this in here as well, especially when it comes to reading back on how I was rating and reviewing books in the future, like my future self. I could really see like what I meant when I was giving something 5 stars or 4 stars or however many stars. And I could also look and see what my preferences were when it came to reading for that year as well. So if I'm reading a book and I'm really, my favorite point of the book is the characters. If I don't connect with the characters, like I generally don't really like the book that much. That's currently where I'm sitting at right now. And that's my number 1 4 doors to reading. Like that's my number 1 slot is for characters. My number 2 slot is for the story. Number 3 is going to be like the language or like the spelling, grammar, all that type of stuff. And my 4th slot is actually going to be like world building or settings. So that could change. And I just think it's super interesting to have that information as to where I'm currently standing at this place in my mind, just in the front of my reading journal. And I can reference back to that and kind of see where my mind was at when I was giving each of these books these ratings. Because we all know, like, you can give a book 4 stars and then reread it a couple years later and you're like, why did I give that 4 stars? Because wow. But, you know, things happen. For my rating system, I wrote on here for a 1 star, I wrote, I hated this. It's probably a DNF, would not recommend. For 2 stars, I generally feel about those, I finished it, I guess. Wasn't really a fan. Several things I did not like, and I would not recommend this. For 3 stars, the book met my expectations. It did exactly what I thought it would. It was a fun time, though I might forget it. 4 stars is loved this. There may be a few things I wish were done differently, but regardless, I would definitely recommend it. And for 5 stars, it's an I'm obsessed, 5 stars, no notes. I think about this book daily and I've probably had dreams about it. If you ask me for recommendations, I hope you have at least an hour for me to talk about this book. And that's probably why I don't give 5 stars out very often, just because I am so like that's how a book has to make me feel in order for me to give it 5 stars, at least in this point in my life. So those are all of my ratings for the 1 through 5. I do also give books like half-star ratings, you know, just because sometimes, like, for like a 3-star, like a 3.5, I think is the one that I usually give like half-star ratings for. And I just kind of, in my mind, it's just in between those 2 ratings that I've got here. And I feel like that's enough. Like, everything I've got written down here is enough for me to be like, okay, well, yeah, this would be like right in the middle of how I was feeling about both of these stars. So 3.5, that's fine. Let's see. Yeah, so that's all I'm going to do on this page. I'm probably going to add, maybe at a later time, a little bit more to the 4 doors to reading page, just because I kind of felt like I didn't really space that out as good as I possibly could have, because I didn't really plan that page out either. So the next thing that I am working on is I have 2 favorite pages that I needed to print book covers out for, and I've cut both of those out here. For my book covers, my larger book covers are all 2 by 3 inches. And then I am pasting those, or, you know, taping them down, adhering them to my favorite section. So I needed to fill that in for February and for March. And then I've got a bunch more 2 by 3 book covers already printed for books that I have finished that I just wanted to get added into the back of my journal and kind of have that page, those pages ready in the back whenever I'm feeling like I want to write down thoughts about books. I also, since I was in here, decided to write down the information for the book that I had just started. And then I have these teeny tiny book covers, which when I am measuring them out, I measure them to 0.75 or 3/4 of an inch in width, and then just kind of let the height be whatever the height is. And I have these measured perfectly so that I can fit 5 books per each row in this kind of spread, because I wanted to have like a spread that shows all of the books that I read throughout the year. I just really love the way that that looks, so I wanted to include that in my journal this year. So I am adding 10 or 11 books. I think it's 10. I'm adding 10 more books here and getting all of these kind of placed down. And then I will move on to kind of getting some of these bigger spreads added to the existing pages already. So this one for Love Redesigned, there is a map that I have in the background that I've kind of cut in half. And that map was actually in the Kindle version of the book. So if there's a map or character images in the book, I usually download those too, like just copy the photo and put it in my images, and I'll print that out and put it on my like little book review pages. I just love that that's a thing in some books, and I totally keep those and will add them to my book reviews. So this one for boyfriend material, this image that's already on the page, I printed it out on clear sticker paper. That was actually in the very back of the Kindle book, and I was obsessed with it. I thought it was so cute and it would be perfect to place on my review page, so I went ahead and I cut that out as well. And then I'm just going to place these other 3 book covers just around these 2 pages. I'm actually not placing them in the order that I read them in. I just wanted To Shape a Dragon's Breath to have a full page, because I felt like I would have a lot more to say about that book than I would the other 2 books. So I kind of just swapped To Shape a Dragon's Breath and Mother Faker so that I would have more space to fill that one in. And then once I get these kind of adhered down, I'm just going to draw some borders for each of the pages just to kind of separate each book from the other one. I like to have these kind of set up, and then when I'm feeling like I want to do writing and thoughts about books, I'll just come back to the back of my pages and just start filling in the thoughts that I had about whatever book that I've got that still needs thoughts. I'm also going to use that star stamp and place a little star rating system under each of these book covers as well, or on top of some of them as well. That way I can go ahead and rate those books once I'm ready to actually write down my thoughts about the book. That, like I said, this is not a usual video that I do. I just kind of needed to do the things, and I figured since I needed to do them anyways, I might as well just pop my camera on and just kind of do like an on the whim recording situation of what I am actually doing. So for the Heartstopper books, since I've read 2 so far and I haven't put any thoughts on the first one yet, I decided to just place the covers next to each other. And then I am going to put 2 star rating stamps on this as well for each book, which was, I gave them both 5 stars, so it'll be the same. But then I can just talk about both of those books or graphic novels in my thoughts together. After I write this down to kind of separate the 2, I think I'm pretty much just done with getting all of the stuff that I wanted to get done in this little video today. If you made it to the end of this video, leave me a thumbs up emoji in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in my next video.